In our last Saturday reading, right, I was touching upon the subject of ego. Um, Ego is not so much thought in the Western cultures. I mean, here the ego, the connotation of ego is associated with arrogance, correct, or attitude. But in the Eastern, ego has a completely different meaning and different context. Because it's a incorrect translation of the Sanskrit word. In the Sanskrit it is called Ahankar. Aham means the self. Here the self, Ahankar, becomes a self identity. Okay, so how do you translate self identity to ego? I don't know, but somehow it got translated like that in English, right? How do you try? What is the word you can think of for self identity in English?
Would that be your personality or?
Yeah. So even personality is different. Personality is a result of self identification,
Oh, it's not okay.
right? So that's why they said, the somehow the closest word they found when the translators, um, what is his name? Muller is the one, he translated Indian scriptures, a lot of them. He is the first one to introduce the Indian scriptures and the Western diaspora. He translated the Vedas, Upanishads, right? And in late or early 1900 or late 1800s, correct? But his translations were so inaccurate. It kind of conveyed the totally different meaning than how the Eastern philosophers thought about these subjects. I happened to read a few translations a long time back, 20, 25 years back. So, this ego, self identity is very important to deal with the transactional world. But it doesn't help us with the inner world, the spiritual aspects of it. The self identity, if you see most of the leaders, whether it's in the corporate or in the in the politics or in philosophy, wherever, across the board, when you look at the leaders, it's mostly personality driven. About 80% personality driven, about 20% probably there is some good visionaries around it, right? But it's 80% is all personality. Why they are able to project such personality is because of their self identity. So the reason is because that's how they carry themselves, right? And someone says, I am good for nothing, and then that is also ego. So that is also self identity. Even if I say I'm good for nothing, it's a self identity. Even if I say I'm the better than everyone, is also a self identity, right? So all the extremes of human personalities come out of self identity. And because it's my identity, I protect it very dearly. The people who are depressed, if you bring them out of depression, they wonder why they are out of depression, because now their entire neurosystem is tuned to that depression. They don't like it. They don't want to come out of it. Why? Because now it has become their identity. You see how deep this identity goes, psychologically. And then it also affects our spiritual way of thinking. And so somehow the self identity also at some level leads to certain prejudice, because we associate ourselves with certain culture, certain identities, certain beliefs. So if you are not believing what I believe in, we are not friends. Right? I mean, I accept you, I tolerate you, but we are not friends. That's how today's world is. I mean, the world has been like that all the time. It's not something today special happening. Correct? Why? Because this self identity also creates prejudice, and it tries to box ourselves into something which we are not. Then here comes spirituality, says what you identify with is all your own imagination. It's your own construct, and it is a false construct. The real being behind all this is the ultimate only. So without that ultimate, there is no function of us. The essence. So that essence is the real me. That's why, in the Vedic literature in India, it says, I am equivalent to the God. It is not any statement of any arrogance, or, it is a statement of the truth. And even in the Bible, you'll see the parallel. In the Bible, it says, the man is made in the image of God. It's the same thing, basically. Why? Because the image of God is not the hands and the head and the face and the eyes. It's not like that. The essence of every being is that higher only. And if he is the creator, we are not devoid of the creator. Ever. It is there. The creator is with us in our birth, in our death, and after death. Right? So we are never devoid of it. But we kind of compartmentalize ourselves. Oh, I have an identity. I have something else. But you see, the message of any scriptures, any religious language is the same. Whether man is the image of God, or it says I am the God. It's the same thing, basically. It's just phrased differently, but the meaning, meaning it is conveying is the same. What it is conveying is our core essence is that ultimate itself. That should be our true identity. And we are missing that true identity because we are now identifying ourselves with that external world. And from this external world, we are constantly seeking validation. Constantly seeking validation. And if that validation is not according to our expectations, it is impacting our interaction with this external world. Right? So that's why it is so important. In fact, Babuji advised his next successor, he said, even a beggar has an ego. If you hurt the ego of even a beggar, you are basically separating one soul from yourself. Then you don't qualify to be a master. This was the advice. He did not say anything else other than this. You cannot hurt anyone, their ego. Everyone has the ego. Everyone has the identity. And they are dearly protecting their identity. So if you want to serve people, you must serve people without hurting their identity. This was the advice. Okay. Otherwise, you are not in the business of service, serving the humanity. So, I mean, now you see how what a delicate path the masters have to tread without hurting anyone, without and they still have a bigger role to play, to bring and dissolve their identities and come to a level where they identify themselves with this higher essence. So this is happening in every meditation we are doing. In every meditation, what is the instruction of meditation? That the divine essence is within me, which is already there. There is no new divine essence coming into us because of meditation. So that essence which is within me, in every meditation, I am associating that identity. And slowly, we transcend from all these external identities into one identity, which is the divine essence. And we reach such a state, this divine identity becomes a choiceless choice. So then all identities, what about them? And they still exist, but the value diminishes. See, today, if you look at $100 note, what is it? It's a paper. But now we have a commonly agreed value associated with it, $100. And tomorrow, if that $100, if the government decides no longer that $100 note is valid. So if it is not valid, then what is the worth of that $100? It's just a paper. Until yesterday it has the value, but today it doesn't have the value. So all our external identities are also like that. There is some value we associate with it. And suddenly, if that value it doesn't stay, it drops off. It becomes zero. But if we associate with the divine essence, omniscient, omnipresent, that has been there before and after, if I can get into that identity, then my life becomes present. So I'm no longer looking for any validations externally. I'm no longer prejudiced about my identities. I still have an identity. I can say, I am this, my name is this, I do this, I identify with my work, I identify with my education, I identify with my body, my appearance, everything. All those are there, but it doesn't have the same value. I don't have to protect them anymore, which we are dearly protecting today. Once my association transcends, my identity transcends all these lower attributes. So that is why it becomes important to sublime this self-identity. What we are calling, like I said in the beginning, it is wrongly translated as ego. So the ego becoming sublime really means now it is only associating with that inner essence. All external identities, they are still there. We don't have to lose them. We don't have to throw them away. But just like the $100 note just became a paper, all other external identities lose its value. The value is there because we associate that value with it. The moment value drops, it is still there, but I'm only using it in the way it should be used. So external identities still play a role in our day-to-day lives. It plays a very important role, but it has no role to play when it comes to inner journey. But unfortunately, we also bring it into our inner journey. And that's why, we have so many confusions. Okay. So, but spirituality does not conform to any teachings. It doesn't have any limitations. All teachings put together is spirituality. It doesn't exclude, eliminate, elude anything. Spirituality is a process of inclusiveness. So that's why, if I say, oh, your teaching is wrong, Western teaching is wrong, only Eastern teaching is superior, then I am prejudiced. There are values here, there are values there. So I have to be wise enough to discern which values I can take and apply in my life. Even if I take the values, if I don't apply them in my life, what is the validity of those values? Correct? So that's spirituality. It's all inclusive. No elimination, nothing is negated in spirituality. So I'll stop here for any comments, questions.
I just have a simple question here.
Yes.
So you talked about self-identity.
Yes.
I'm already answering myself, so I'm going to tell you everything. So maybe I'm answering it myself. So as we try to connect with our true identity,
Yes.
are the self-identities disappearing automatically, or is there an active role that we are playing there to, let them go and identify ourselves?
So I told you already, there is nothing to be eliminated.
Okay.
Those identities are there, but the value we associated with it becomes less.
But
Today
there's nothing we are going to do to make it happen.
No.
We're only trying out.
Yes.
Going inwards.
How do you remove darkness?
Turning on the light.
That's it. I don't know, for some reason when it comes to spirituality, we want to remove the darkness first. and then the light will come. That's not how it works.
Right.
Okay. So you bring the light, and it is, so the light and the darkness, they don't coexist. You cannot have a room half dark and half light. Either the room is lit or the room is not lit.
Right.
So even in a mundane situation with the darkness, how do you deal with the darkness? Darkness is almost non-existent. It's an absence of light. So the definition of darkness is absence of light. Right? So you cannot have darkness without the light associated with it. But the darkness is not the other way. Right? Yeah, there are places where the light doesn't reach. So it's dark. But again, your definition of dark is because the light is not reaching. So you cannot have any association with the darkness without the association with the light. That's what I'm trying to say. So what it means is basically just focus on this higher essence. Let it engulf you. Let it take over on you. And then all the right discernment comes in. Sometimes ego is needed. Sometimes we should know how to use it. It becomes a weapon or it becomes a tool for us to deal with this world. That's why in the beginning I said the usage of the ego is only to deal with the external world. It adds no value in the inner world. It's completely separate. Right. So, Sister Varsha, thanks for joining. Good evening. All right, so let's get into